Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. I'm Eric Mosley, joined today by Coach Jared Slater. And good week last week, Coach. Obviously, anytime you can have a win, it's a good week.
Yep.
So let's get right into it. Big win, 42-13 over Madisen. First takeaways from that game that you have.
That was a much-needed win. We started off with a gauntlet in the MOAC, starting off with Pleasant, then Gallion, then Shelby. We had two tough losses against Gallion and Shelby, so it was good to bounce back against a Madisen team that is very similar to us as far as size is concerned. And, we were just excited to go out there and win and be able to sing the fight song. Our offense and defense played very well. I think we left some points out on the board, and I think, defensively there were still some things we needed to shore up. But all in all, you can never be upset with a W.
So who probably stood out the most in this week, or what players stood out the most for you?
Well, defensively, Mitch Myers really stood out for us. He had 15 tackles, had a fumble recovery, had 2 forced fumbles. It's 2 weeks in a row where he's been able to get the ball back into our offense's hands. Jaquavion Brady's another kid that stood out for us defensively. He had 2 sacks. Offensively, Tobias Thompson-Reese, he played very well. He had 8 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre had another great game, over 250 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns and a punt return for a touchdown. And our quarterback, Brady Wink, he was 10 yards away from the record for most yards in a game passing. So offensively and defensively, I think we played very well.
So I know one thing that you've been trying to work on with this team is cutting down on mistakes. How do you feel like the team did last week with that?
There's still some mistakes that need to be cut out. We are a very young team, and at times we show that. And with more and more experience for our young guys, they'll be fine. But there were still some silly penalties and things that we can't do if we want to go out and beat, River Valley on Friday and Clear Fork and Ontario and finish the season the way that we think we should. If we want to do that, we can't make those same mistakes. So there was definitely a lot of learning that went on Saturday.
And we talked about there's, 6 sophomores that started on Friday night.
Yep.
So you're really working on that youth to step up. How do you feel like they've done so far?
Oh, I mean, they've been awesome. They've done a really good job. They've answered the call. They've accepted the challenge from the coaching staff, and we tell them all the time. My biggest philosophy is, we are going to play the kids that embody the 4 pillars. If it's a freshman, if it's a sophomore, it's a junior, it's a senior. So they've really gone out and embodied those 4 pillars, and it was exciting to see all those young guys out there on Friday.
So you get to this point in the season, the grind can be a little bit for the players, for the coaches. How do you feel like the team's holding up right now?
I think the team's holding up really well. We're a 3-4 football team that's 1-2 in the conference, and arguably the toughest conference in Central Ohio. And we've got an opportunity to win out. I truly believe that. We play a tough River Valley team on Friday, but if we can find a way to get a victory, who knows what will happen the last 2 weeks in the MOAC. So, if we can finish the season 4-2 in the MOAC, that will be good for us as a program. And, we've got to make sure we're locked in on River Valley this weekend.
And you look at what happened in the MOAC this past week with Gallion in their situation, obviously a lot of different teams winning and losing. You kind of get a better idea of how your team stacks up in the league based off of who you've played as well.
Yeah.
And you probably feel pretty good about how your team looks.
Yeah, no, we have felt pretty good about what we have, all year long. Other than the Shelby game, we were in every game. Shelby kind of gave it to us a little bit, but that was a learning experience for our kids. But we know we can compete with every team in the league, and we just got to go out and execute at a high level.
So, I always think it's interesting when you get to this point of the season how the team's attitude is. And especially a road game in Mansfield, it's a little bit of a trip.
Yeah.
The attitude on the team still really high?
Absolutely. I mean, it has no choice but to be high after a win. The last time we played Mansfield Madisen, they beat us. It was my sophomore year. That was the last time we had a chance to play them in the old OHC, and they beat us on our home field, and it messed with our playoff rankings. So that's something I personally didn't forget. So it was good to go over there and get a W, and the attitudes have been great. Yesterday was a good practice, and we're hoping for the same today.
And at this point also special teams becomes such a big part. You say you had a punt return for a touchdown. Have you felt like the team has gotten better when it comes to special teams?
Absolutely. Definitely in comparison to a year ago. I think, as a young head coach, I had to make sure that I make special teams a priority for our kids, and it's something that we work on every single day. They've done a good job of taking coaching. We've got a lot of starters that are out there on special teams, and it's important for them to see that it is a vital part of the game, and if we can win that phase of the game, then we'll likely win on Friday night. So, I'm very impressed with what we're doing right now, and hopefully we can continue.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll show a few highlights from the Madisen game. You are watching Coach's Corner. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we've got some highlights from the Madisen game, so let's get right to it.
All right. Right here is a big fourth down stop by our defense. We stressed tackling this week, even more so than we have, and it was a big stop for us. Right here, Brady finds Jemiah on a bubble screen. Jemiah is one of our top athletes. Just get the ball out to him in space, let him do his thing. Here we've got Brady finding Tobias. Tobias had a great game for us, played really well. He's really been standing out the last few weeks, and we want to make sure we're trying to get the ball in his hands. You can see it's just a huge play. Right here's a run to DeAndre. DeAndre had a great game, over 250 yards rushing, pushing his total right around 800 yards for the season, so he's really doing a good job for us. Here's DeAndre again, punching it into the end zone. Another quick screen to Jemiah. Jemiah played really well for us on Friday. Had some big plays for us. Here's DeAndre with another, big play. Like I said, he played really well on Friday in all phases of the game. Here's one of our jet sweeps to Tobias. Tobias was somebody, like I said, we pinpointed throughout the week that we wanted to get the ball to, and he definitely didn't disappoint. Here's our defense getting another big stop. The defense played really well on Friday, other than a couple big plays. This is one of our sophomores that got his first start. Wes Stokes played really well, had 2 catches for us. Here, Brady finds him again. He's a big body, so we like getting the ball out to him. Here's DeAndre again. Like I said, he played really well. Once he gets out in the open field, he's pretty dangerous, and this just goes to show that. You can see Ben Kenny running on the sideline. It's pretty fun.
So, it's you go over to Madisen, a team that hasn't won a game yet, and it's probably hard sometimes to keep the team focused. You're dealing with teenagers that are, waiting a whole day to win a game or play a game, then driving over there. What do you do as a coach to keep them focused on, it doesn't matter that this team is a winless team, and we've won games, and we're a really good offense, really good defense. What do you do as a coaching staff to just keep them focused?
Well, for us, it's getting the kids, getting that winning taste in their mouth. And, we remind the kids all the time, our 2 wins prior to that game were by 6 points total. We could very easily be that same team that's 0-6. So we don't look at the record. Our kids need to get used to winning, and they need to feel that, and they need to be desperate for that feeling every single day. So, we don't really talk about the records. Madisen was a very capable team. If we didn't go out and execute and do what we needed to do, it could have been a really good game. So, that's we don't really worry about, trying to gear the team up for a team who hasn't won a game. We've got to take care of what we can control and take care of ourselves. So in order for us to do that, we've got to go out and execute, and that's our number one priority each and every day. So, we just want the kids, and I said it just a second ago, we just want the kids to be desperate to win. I mean, it's such a great feeling singing that fight song, and we want the kids to want that every single day. So we don't really care who we're playing.
Now, your quarterback, Brady Wink, obviously an interesting story, didn't start the season as a starter, and then finds out right before a game that he will be starting. The progression he's made each week, how does that make you feel?
It makes us feel really great. Our offensive staff has done a really good job of, providing Brady with a ton of support. He was thrown into the fire, and it was a different situation to make your first start, but he's done really well. He's really progressed. We always tell him to drive the bus. We're all on the bus, Brady, and you're driving it. So he's done a really good job for us. We like to see him eliminate some turnovers that he's had, but other than that, he's doing a pretty good job for us, and we couldn't be, more ecstatic for such a great kid, a great family. So we're excited to see what he does these last 3 games.
And I know that you're focused on the rest of this season, but as a coach, it's got to feel kind of exciting to know you've got a lot of youth that are playing and feel like the program's in some pretty good hands moving forward. Do you try not, obviously you're not going to think that far ahead, but does it make you feel pretty good at this point that you got a lot of guys playing that are getting a lot of playing time that will be back next season?
It will make me feel good if we can go out and beat River Valley on Friday. If we can beat River Valley on Friday, that will be a huge boost for this program, to win the county, as we've been saying all week long. So that's our focus. The kids that are out there, they've embodied the 4 pillars, and I'm not worried about the future. Right now, I'm worried about Friday, and I'm excited for that challenge. And we need those young guys to step up. So that's our number one concern right now is River Valley.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and have some player interviews. You are watching Coach's Corner. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and right now I'm joined by Brady Wink and Dylan Swint. And guys, a nice victory last week. And Brady, how do you feel like that went?
I felt pretty good about it. We could have done some things better offensively for us. Mental mistakes, penalties that didn't go our way, but I feel all around we did pretty well. So.
And Dylan, how would the game go for you?
I feel like we all did a good job. I had a couple mistakes on the D-line, not lining up properly, but I have another week to get better at it. So.
Okay. Brady, pretty big game for you. Were you just seeing the field real well? Was everybody getting open? Was it just one of those games where everything was coming together?
I mean, yeah, but most of my completions were short passes, and Tito or Jemiah or something made a big play out of it. So luckily for me that they made big plays out of them. But, yeah, I feel like I was seeing the field pretty well, but I could always do better with those 2 interceptions that I threw, but, yeah.
Well, yeah, everybody always looks at the bad things they do first. I get that. Dylan, you play running back, and you also play a little bit of everything on defense. Which side do you enjoy playing the most?
Probably defense. Just being able to get the ball in Dre's hands when we get the turnovers, and it's just fun watching him do what he does.
Okay. Brady, a lot of people probably have heard, but you didn't start the season as a starter, and then you find out before your first game starting, just before the game, that you were going to start. How did you feel about that when time came, coaches tell you, hey, you're starting tonight?
Well, at first I was really nervous, but as soon as during warm-ups and stuff, I started to feel pretty well, and I was ready. So. Yeah.
And is there a certain quarterback that you try to model your style after? Is there somebody that you really watch a lot?
Well, not really, but I guess if I were to say someone, would be my cousin Ryan, who was a starter here for a long time, and he's taught me a lot of things. He's helped me a lot, and he's also helped me with like all this pressure that's been put on my shoulders, and yeah, thanks to him. So.
Okay. And Dylan, is there a certain player that you've kind of tried to model after or that you like to watch?
Christian McCaffrey, obviously.
Yeah.
That's what McCaffrey, pretty much. That's about it.
Just trying to be like a hard-nosed runner and
Pretty much,
and all that. Okay. So you got a big game this week, a huge rivalry game with River Valley. You did great against Pleasant, but like Coach said, you want to win this one to kind of win the county. What makes this game so special for you guys as players?
I guess, like Coach says, winning the county and being able to have bragging rights around the county, and I guess just like we all know those kids at River Valley and at Pleasant, and just being able to know that we've won the game. So.
Mm-hmm. Does it kind of feel like when you can play these games, Dylan, against these teams with these kids does it make it that much more special?
100%. Like Coach said before, just winning the county is what we want to do. I didn't get to play against them last year because my collarbone was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So just being able to play my first game on Friday night against them is going to be special.
And obviously a big crowd out there, so that's always exciting. What's it like? You guys, everybody loves their home field. Harding has one of the best home fields around. What's it like to go out there and just hear that crowd and see that crowd and experience it live?
It's awesome. Our fans are awesome, and they give us lots of energy around. And knowing that we have those people behind us, even if something goes wrong or something goes great, they'll always have our backs, and we love them. So.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming on and spending some time with us. And we'll be right back with some more comments from Coach Slater. You are watching Coach's Corner.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Haven't seen you around before. Are you new in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Haven't you heard about the new state law on yard waste bags?
No, I guess not.
Well, if yard waste is set out by the curb for pickup, state law requires residents to use a compostable bag, like me, or a large paper bag, or a hauler-provided cart. Plastic bags like you are now banned from curbside pickup. This is the other new bag in the neighborhood.
Hi guys, what's shaking?
Hey there, welcome.
And we're back here on Coach's Corner. Let's talk about River Valley, one of the big time county rivalries that has developed over the past 20 years. I remember when the two teams first played each other back in the early 90s, and it was such a big deal. Now it's become one of those games that's circled on the calendar. So just starting out, what are your first impressions of what they're doing over at River Valley?
I mean, I think they're doing a really good job. Coach Green tried to spread things out last year. I think, he wanted to get back to the old offense that he used to run. So they've got 3 or 4 guys that have over 300 or 400 yards rushing. So they definitely want to run the ball. That's their identity. They're big and physical up front, and they're going to fire off the ball. And same thing with their defensive line. I think, it's going to be a good game. It's going to force us to be really, really disciplined in our rules and our assignments offensively and defensively. But like you said, it's circled on the calendar every single year. This is a game that I personally get excited for our kids to be a part of because, like you said, it is a strong county rival, very similar in size, and it's just very, very fun to be out there on Friday nights to play against the Vikings.
And they have a veteran quarterback who, unfortunately or fortunately, has grown up with this system. You don't necessarily have to worry about the passing game, and what you guys do on defense tends to really try to limit the passing game. So this week really have to kind of focus on the run more than anything.
Absolutely. No, we've got to stop the run. I mean, if you want to win on Friday, that's what you're going to have to do. That's their identity. That's who they are. So it's going to be a nice challenge for us defensively. We've got to play assignment football, gap sound football on the defensive side of the ball, and just go make plays, find ways to create turnovers to get the offensive ball back, and just do what we've been preaching all season long. And I think if we can do that, then we'll find some success on Friday. But it's definitely going to be a good game.
Obviously, their offensive line's pretty good. They're big, can move people. But I would say Harding has a decent amount of speed. Do you feel like your speed might be to your advantage in this game?
Yeah, and I'm very confident in our athletes out on the edges. We just have to be able to find ways to get the ball out to them. We've got to protect Brady to make sure that he can get the ball out quick. We've got to execute in the run game offensively. And if we can do that, we'll have a chance going in the fourth quarter to win the football game. So we just got to take care of business and do, what the kids are taught to do, and we've got to make sure as coaches that we're putting them in the right spot. But more importantly, we've got to play a disciplined brand of football. You can talk about it, we can preach it, but it's got to happen on Friday night in order for us to win.
Obviously, the week has just started, but how's the mood and how's the feeling at practice yesterday?
It was great. It's always a lot better when you're coming in on practice on Monday after a win. But it's really not. We don't really have to say much this week to get the kids focused and ready to go. It's a rival game for them, and it's going to be fun. The stands are going to be packed on Friday, so we just need to have a good week of practice, and I can't wait for Friday.
And when you guys played Pleasant, it was almost like a switch just flipped with this team. Kind of hopefully anticipating the same thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
It would be nice. I think the Pleasant game really showed our kids what they're capable of. And then we got knocked down a couple notches the next 2 weeks. And then now we're coming off a win. So, I think the kids know what they're capable of. And I think they know, especially after Saturday's film session, what we have to do in order to be successful every Friday night. We can't just show up. We're a 3-4 football team. Obviously, showing up on Friday is not going to get it done. We've got to show up. We've got to execute. We've got to be disciplined. And if we can do that, we've got a good chance to be singing the fight song at the end of the night.
And this is an RV team that started the season 3-0, and then ran into the Galleon buzzsaw, but then was able to knock off a really good Clear Fork team. You kind of have a hard time figuring out what this River Valley team is.
It's a hard time figuring out what anybody is right now in the MOAC. If you're just comparing scores, which we try not to do, but 35-6, Pleasant over River Valley. I mean, nobody expected that. Pleasant did a good job of maintaining the ball so that their defense wasn't on the field a ton. So, I think River Valley is going to be ready. They're going to be upset. They're going to be frustrated coming off a loss to their biggest rival. So, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be physical. They're going to be amped up. We're going to be amped up, and it's just going to be fun for Marion, Ohio as a whole.
Absolutely. Well, if you're fans of either one of these schools, you're going to want to go out there and watch this game. It's a great atmosphere, and countywide, this is the game of the week. There's no doubt about it. So thanks, Coach, for coming on and giving us some insight. Go out there, watch River Valley and Harding take on each other this Friday, and join us next week for another episode of Coach's Corner.